All right, and the first word of the show is Robert shoving food into his talkie hole and grossing us all out with mouth noises. Hello again, and welcome everybody to Never Again Now. What did we call this thing? The Never Enough Rally Chat. That's right.
Yes.
Because apparently I've been calling it like 12 different things. Welcome again. We're all trapped inside, so I figured there's nothing better to do than to sit around and talk rally. As always, AJ is here, and Cody is also here. Hi, Cody.
Hi, Cody.
Oh, hi, Cody. And Mr. Robert Volvos is here, a resident Volvo nerd. And we're gonna talk about cars. Alex, maybe later. Danny, I think, was a no, and then Mr. Dante will be showing up later once he can figure out a headset, because they're complicated. So technology is hard, guys. I mean, we are 66% of us are engineers here, and it's still hard. So, Mr. Volvo-san.
Yeah.
Are you an engineer too?
Not by education.
By like the UK definition, you are.
Oh,
yeah. By trade, you definitely are.
Yeah, let's be real. You're probably smarter than all of us, but somebody was dumb enough to give us a degree in things.
No,
that we
I
studied.
was just lazy and didn't feel like going to multiple years of schoolage.
And quite frankly, that was probably the smartest thing. But okay, so Robert, as you were staring gazingly at your dinner, are you seriously going to shove more food in your face?
No. I didn't have any food. I was typing.
Okay. Got it.
I could type over here, but it's using my little. I'm like on my workstation right now, so it's all spread over.
Good. Okay, so the question I always like to ask people is, how did you get here? Not like this stream specifically, but rally in general.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that. I think I got, it was like probably 2008, 2007. Had a Volvo 240 wagon or 245 and took it up to one of the Oregon Rally Group rally crosses when I was out in Hillsboro. And I was like, I grew up like out on a farm sliding around on gravel roads and in the woods. So found out you could actually do that legally. And so did some grasswood cross for a while. And from there got on to, found a forum called Rally Anarchy, for better or worse. And got hooked up with a couple people there. Robert Gobright and who else was that? He had a Mark I Volkswagen Rabbit. He moved to the East Coast.
I'm about the worst person with names.
Anyways, they needed people to help crew for them one year, and it was when Olympus got changed to the Nameless Rally.
Right.
And so I slept in my truck in a parking lot, and then did service that entire weekend. Slept on the floor of a hotel room, and then the next year ended up in a car as a co-driver out of the blue. So.
Who'd you co-drive for first time?
It was Arnaud Guerin. He had the blue Volvo that I currently co-drive in. He was the original owner of it. And Cody Crawford and Robert Gobright they all worked together. He was like the front man at their shop, or the shop they all worked at. And so we did a bunch of work up there at Group 2 Motorsports, getting this POS Volvo ready for whatever it was.
You've been attached to that Volvo since day one, you're saying?
Kind of. Like when it got sold, I kind of came along with the car.
Okay, so
did you get any of the proceeds, or are you a true, just kind of?
Oh no, I get no money.
Just found in the trunk, and they was like,
Well, okay, so you're saying bad. So what are we talking bad? Like, give me bad. I mean, I know its current state of being owned by Derek, is well maintained by you, but
so originally it was originally a turbocharged car, like a 2.1 turbo with the old K-Jet, old K-Jet fuel injection. And due to it was right when Rally America was dying down, and so all the rules changes. So he couldn't run it as a turbo as a novice. So he took that motor out, put a 2.1 liter NA motor in there, which made like 90 horsepower. And I think he was driving it to a rallycross, and he puked. The motor puked like 2 quarts of oil out of the breather, like driving up the freeway, like 40 miles. And so I had a spare motor in my garage that we did some quick work to, and then did a motor swap the weekend before the rally.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so it was all like a 2.3 liter motor from a later car going into there and making all the K-Jet stuff work properly. The wiring was typical 30-year-old hacked together by numerous people. I don't think any wire nuts, but it was pretty bad. And yeah, it was fun. We even did a bunch of drifting outside of the Group 2 shop one night, and Cody was there for this without even tightening the wheels on, and the wheels never fell off. It was great. So what was their, they're a good car.
So then, let's see. So we met when I was trying to sell a Volvo, and then we hung out more when the front strut broke off that car.
Mm-hmm. That happened, yeah.
Yeah. And then, basically I've never left you alone since, and we try to talk Volvos, and all the things.
We become best of friends.
Best of Volvo buddies. Except I never seem to do anything with Volvos. I keep keeping the stupid Mazdas and stuff like that.
The Volvos are like just growing out behind the shed.
They are. They are a certain color of moss at this point. Yeah. So fortunately, I did plug some of the holes from the roof rack that are no longer there on one of them. So it only slightly smells of mold.
My current car smells like mold from the previous, like the windshield's all leaking like crazy.
We should introduce Al while we got a chance here.
Okay, okay. Well, let's see if Al.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, there's Al! Yay! Al, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us and talking nothing.
Right on.
I feel you've probably seen some of these. It's generally a big chaotic mess where we sit around and talk about nothing. Yeah. We all love your car. Let's just be real. I mean, that's the only reason you're here.
Yeah, that's understandable.
No, totally. But totally, tell me how you got into rally and all the fun bits.
About 25 years ago, I started volunteering as a marshal. I did marshaling, stage captaining, running controls since 1995. After 17 years, I bought Mike Murbach's Group 2 Jetta. It had a VR6 in it.
Yes. Open
differential, everything like that. And I ran that for 4.5, 5 years. Did about everything you can do with an open diff on a Group 2 car. Put it up for sale. I finished second regionally at LSPR with it in two-wheel drive. Put it up for sale, and it didn't sell. And then Mad Mike Halley out of Tulsa, Oklahoma got a hold of me, and he says, Al, I got this old RX-7. It's not running. It's a project. It's completely disassembled. It's been mothballed since 2005. He's like, you want to trade straight up? And I'm like, oh, heck yeah. So that's how I ended up with the RX-7.
Was it caged at that point, or was it a rally car trade?
Yeah, what it is it's actually Cable Rhodes' old car from he was in Prescott and Boise, Idaho. The car actually won the Club Rally National Championship back in 2004, 2005. And then when 2006, when Rally America started with the FIA cages, he disassembled it to re-prep it and bring the cage up to spec to the FIA. And I think that's when he fell out of love with the sport. And so that's when it just sat. It's just sat for 11 years, completely disassembled.
Holy crap. That's
so it wasn't even in bad shape when you picked it up.
No,
like a especially car you picked up or anything of the sort.
No, it didn't have any body panels on it, no glass in it. it wasn't running, stuff like that. But yeah, in the UP, we get a lot of rust. So cars only live for 5 or 6 years. And for me to get a 1980s car with zero rust on it from Arizona, it was like perfect.
Yeah. Right.
It's like a unicorn.
Yeah, we are blessed on the West Coast where we don't salt our roads. Although Portland has now started salting their roads, so I won't travel there.
My Volvos are just melting into the ground.
They really are. You can just see like chunks of underbody falling off as you sit there. Okay,
my car just sits in the garage for 6 months every winter. It's like, don't even risk bringing it outside because you're going to get it in there, and it's not worth it.
Yeah. Living in the Northwest my entire life, we're spoiled. Like, I can go buy a 50-year-old car and expect to take all the bolts out in a somewhat timely manner.
That's when Mad Mike got my Jetta, and he took it down to Tulsa, and he started working on the brakes, and he's like, never again. He's like, those rear brakes had never been serviced. I'm like, I just did it like the year previous, dude.
Oh, Rust, you son of a bitch. I hate you. All right. Well, so cool. So you got the Volvo. Volvo.
Oh, are you getting a Volvo now, Al?
God, no.
No, we don't have any of those.
Yeah, they don't make it over the mountain range. They instantly disintegrate as soon as they hit like Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you got the RX-7. So in full disarray and nothing. So are we talking engine gone or just like what level of?
Luckily, I didn't know anything about rotaries, so I read up on it for like 2 months straight, and then I started reading in January, and then February, and then March. I finally went outside and went through with a voltmeter and figured out why it wasn't running. Pulled the fuel pump out of the gas tank, and it was on like 4 inches of sediment just from sitting that long. So I took the gas tank out, ordered up a fuel pump. I filled the gas tank full of, I think, 12 gallons of vinegar, and then I threw 12 sockets in it and let it soak for 3 days. And you'd shake the sockets and it would knock all the crust off of it. After 3 days, it actually worked. It would look like a brand new tank when it was done. Yeah, I did that and did like the oil in the what do you call them silly rotary things? Put it in the spark plug holes. Right. Yeah. And then cycled it for like 3 days and then randomly fired it up and ran fine. So it was pretty amazing. And I'd never seen a rotary in my life, but 2 months of nonstop reading on how to make it work.
So was it NA or turbo?
Turbo.
Oh, okay. So it's already like cursed from the get-go.
Wait, I have a question for you, Al. Don't they have rotary snowmobiles up there in the UP? Like the old like 70s sock snowmobiles?
Yeah. There's a couple guys up here that got them, but nobody really knows how they work.
Black magic.
Pretty much. If it's got gas and spark plugs, it'll probably run.
Yeah. Well, which is funny because we're missing our rotary aficionado. Yeah, Alex is always preaching the word of the rotary, just like Robert does with the Volvo. But no, I mean, so I had out here. It was a first gen RX-7 years ago, not the yellow turd, but one that was well put together. And it had like a 12A in it, and that was my first experience with any rotaries. And thank God somebody else spent a lot of money putting together a quality engine, because I don't think I could have. And then Alex promptly killed it. So good job, Alex.
And then threw a Miata motor in it.
And then tried to put a Miata motor in it, and then that was a failure. And yeah,
I think we drove it around the block once. It was bad.
Wait, is that the RX-7 that there's a picture somewhere of it like 6 feet in the air?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So after that photo, I don't know if somebody else ever said this, but I always say jumping is free, landing is expensive. And so it was really funny. So right after that, he sends me this message on Facebook, and he's like, how stiff are the front struts? I was like, well, I mean, you know, they're like a revalved Bilstein. I mean, they shouldn't be that bad. He's like, I got like no movement in it. I was like, and this is before I saw any of the pictures of him just launching this thing. And he's like, well, you know, I kind of jumped it. And I was like, you jumped it? Jesus. Like, I mean, you're on glorified street strut, man. And yeah, well, come to find out, he completely trashed the Bilsteins that were in the front.
He went big.
He went huge. I wish I could find that picture.
It's probably on the internet somewhere.
Oh, it's all, yeah.
Al, since we don't have a rotary perv here, what do you think of the new motor?
It's pretty nice. I can actually like reach in, turn on the power, and it starts right up on the first crank. It's insane.
It works.
No, I don't have the proper transmission for it yet, so I'm running it with a 4L60E, which is pretty. But we did Ojibwe and LSPR with it.
Okay, but why not like a manual valve body or something?
Well, that's the thing, is it's actually in limp mode right now, which makes it work like that. I only have second and third, but with, I think, what is it, 410 gears or 411s? And my tunery turned the rev limiter down to 6,100. So mathematically, I can hit 110 before it shuts off, which we did that 5 times on one stage at LSPR. So.
See, I love the fact that is good enough. Let's go race it.
Yeah. It's a glorified power glide, for God's sakes. I mean, what more do you need? When you have torque, rotaries don't have, you don't need more than 2 gears.
Well, I mean, rotaries have torque. It's just at a much higher RPM range.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Yeah.
So, Al, revving I'm assuming a stock LS truck engine to 6,100 RPM, how does that work out? Or is it not a stock truck engine?
It is. It's out of a 2003 Tahoe.
So it's a 5.3.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it's got a LS7 intake, a truck throttle body, some shorty headers, and then it's got, for exhaust, it's got straight pipes with an X pipe at the end of the transmission, and then 2 catalytics, 1 on each tail. So,
how are your ears after an event?
Coated. Not too bad, because my exhaust builder insisted that he stick it out a little bit farther so it gets away from the car. I wanted it to be a little shorter, but Cody Crawford's asking about the starter, and at Ojibwe, with having the automatic transmission, we had a 25-minute stage delay, and that was when my starter decided to be heat soaked. And with the automatic transmission, we couldn't bump start it or anything like that. And we were in a control, and so everybody's like, well, just hit it with a rock. And I'm like, I can't. I'll get a 10-minute penalty. And they're like, hit it with a rock. Nobody's going to protest you. And I'm like, I won't. And finally, Mike Miller out of Colorado, he crawled underneath the car with a rock, and he's like, you can't stop me, Al. He's bashing on my starter. And it started up, but to answer Cody's question, yeah, now I do have the proper heat wrap on the brand new starter, so it'll never happen again.
Well, I mean, that's typical Chevy. Let's heat soak the starters to the point of not working. I mean, that's been a thing for basically ever. Well, that's cool. So, all right. So so you killed the motor, right? Or I'm sorry, not the LS, the rotary. Because didn't you kill it and then you tried to rebuild it or do something else with it and then opted at that point?
What happened was 100 Acre Wood last year, I had the intake fall off the turbo. Yeah. So it was just sucking that limestone or sandstone into the turbo all day on the first day. And then the second day we had no compression left. So I had one of the organizers towed me down the highway to get me to Park Expo, and we got it bump started. And then at Park Expo, we waited for like 10 cars to go, and then we shoved it down the main street in Salem. We just never shut it off for the rest of the event.
Sure.
When I got it back to the UP, we checked it, and it was like 30 pounds compression. The funny thing was we almost won every single stage on Saturday with 30 pounds of compression.
The turbo makes up for a bit of that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you just got to spin it up.
Yeah, no, rev the piss out of it until it doesn't rev anymore.
Yeah. I couldn't find a motor and I couldn't rebuild it in time. And I ended up buying a motor from a chop shop down in Kissimmee, Florida. It was a pretty shady deal. The guy wouldn't do PayPal or anything. We actually did Walmart to Walmart for a sizable amount of money.
Have you ever been to Kissimmee, Florida?
No.
It would. Thanks.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And the motor showed up like 5 days before Southern Ohio, and then got it running, got it to Southern Ohio, and we finished the event. I think 21st place out of like 80 some cars with a motor that showed up a couple days before.
Yeah, no, that seems about right. So explain this Walmart dealing again. So you're just meeting in a random Walmart parking lot at like 2 a.m. Are we talking?
No, it's kind of like a Western Union without the security of a Western Union.
Like I got you. Yeah. Like what is it? Well, yeah. So they've got their own kind of Western Union, or they've got their money order system thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's concerning. But you got an engine, and that's the important part. So clearly it's a kick in the pants now, right?
Yep.
I'm assuming. I mean,
and that's the cool thing with this swap is I can take this swap out, like say I wrap the car around a tree or something. I can take the entire swap and put it into almost any chassis in the United States. I could put it in a truck. I could put it in a car. I could put it in anything.
You're gonna lose. We're gonna lose everything to Matt.
You can make a Volvo.
It would look nice in a little Colorado.
You know, I would be on board for a Volvo pre-runner.
Yeah, Matt has a bunch of wagons.
2 cars sitting here doing nothing. Yeah. So
Matt has 2 inoperable wagons.
I do. I have two wagons. It was a dark time in my life where I was like, oh, I want to get into Volvos. Let's just keep dragging them home.
Was that the first or the second or the third time you got into Volvos?
So that would be actually the second. So I've only owned one other Volvo, and that was a functioning 4-door. So, I mean, that was rare in the sense that it ran and drove, and it was actually a really nice car. But no, I drug home. What was it? It was like I drug home like 3 wagons in like a month. And because I kept finding them, and they were like, 5 speeds for $200 with 10 spokes on them. So, okay, I'll drag it home and yank all the parts off. And so I scrapped one out, and now there's 2 sitting, and there's still 2 sitting. And fortunately, I don't see my wife in the chat this time. Because they sit on the other side of my garage, and they're well hidden, and nobody ever sees it. So I know Mr. Volvosan has been busy with a lot of things in his life, but I have said that I need his help because the nice one, if you will, doesn't run. Are you all right over there?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool. How many drinks have you had?
Oh, well, I had a bunch of coffee this afternoon because I've been working from home, so I have no concept of time or what day it is.
I've lost track of days.
Yeah, it's weird. So I've been doing a bunch of work, and Cody's correct. I have no pants on right now. So I drank a bunch of coffee. Didn't realize it was like 5:15, and I had a massive cup of coffee. And so now I'm trying to counter that with some whiskey.
I do not believe that's good for the heart. The uppers and the downers at the same time.
I made it through college that way. Not on uppers and downers, but on coffee and alcohol. Let's be real on that one. Not on uppers and downers.
Hard stuff.
Put them on the same cup at a certain point.
Yeah, no.
No, could you imagine if I was doing uppers and downers, what I would turn into?
No, God, please don't. You already have more energy than any other person I know, and like, bah.
There's an interview with Dave Grohl where he's talking about his coffee addiction, and they're like, "Have you ever done any hard drugs?" He's like, "You see what I do with coffee," because he drinks like 6 pots of coffee a day, which is actually true. And he's like, "Could you imagine me on cocaine? What I would turn into?"
Oh no, we don't want to imagine Robert on cocaine.
No,
because everything would get done really fast. However,
yeah,
well,
probably the same speed, just a lot of iterations of it.
It'd be redone 3 times. Same time it'd normally take once.
So yeah, exactly. So Robert's perversion has leaked onto my driveway, if you will, and so I own Volvos, and so I always would like to rally a Volvo because, quite frankly, I'm really tired of wedging myself into that thing. Even though I'll never sell this car because it's that car you'll never ever get rid of. But I would like, aside from a truck, because I'm a big truck fan, but a Volvo is always the other thing that
It's basically a truck.
It is basically a truck, except for all those non-truck things that require work. But no, like Cody says,
all that storage.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I could put like a friggin' mattress in the back of that. Can you imagine that at like at starts? Like when you're just standing around doing nothing. I'm in the back of my car taking a nap.
You could have an inflatable air mattress back there.
I would.
Nothing. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think Krista's right. Minivan would be pretty rad. You could do a supercharged Previa for ultimate weirdness.
Yeah, we talked minivans last time.
I know, but it's basically it's a mid-engined 4-wheel drive.
Well, what was the one Alex
Ferrari,
came up with?
Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, it's like the Ferrari of minivans is mid-engined.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's the only thing.
They did make it in a 5-speed too.
Really?
Yep. Very, very, very rare. But no, Alex, what was the one Alex brought up? Like the Mitsubishi something.
Oh, the Stanza wagon. Was it Stanza wagon?
No, but so you can do the whole, basically the Eclipse drivetrain swap into these, like, they're not minivans. I would call them like hatchbacky van things. If he was here, he could tell us, but he's saving the world.
It's like a Mitsubishi Forester.
Yeah. Oh, right. How did I never talk about my Forester idea last time? God. My straight axle Forester idea.
Maybe.
No, it would be great. So you just rear. I mean, let's be real. Is it any worse than linking any other car?
Yes. Actually, hold on. Slight distraction here, because remember, did I send you the link to the Ford Focus that had the 5-liter?
Oh, dude, that's old, man.
It's still for sale. $3,000.
Oh. Yeah, no, I don't need to drag home that kind of. Cody, yes, I have talked to William.
Right?
He thought it was a great idea. But no, like seriously. So if you go to the extent of 4-linking a car, right? How is that any worse than, say, doing it in a Forester?
I mean, there's a trade-off to it all.
Well, sure. I mean, it's all trade-off, but then you could just have. I'm not saying it's a brilliant idea. I just thought it was an idea, and it didn't come up during our really bad idea of rally car show last week. So, while we're on the topic, anyways, Volvos. But no, they're cool. I mean, God, they're ugly as sin, and they are essentially just a brick. And they are fairly indestructible, I will say. And I mean, Robert's barely spent any time on Derek's car. So, clearly they're super easy to maintain and get going.
There's been like the perpetual quest for more speed.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, shouldn't Derek actually do events?
I mean, that was a plan for this year, but last year was a bit different.
This year's
this year's totally screwed. So
I don't even know. I mean, so okay, at this point, let's sidebar here. So Olympus is, the last I heard, postponed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is that? I mean, so what was it? End of April is when it was originally supposed to run, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we're talking a month out. If the fact that they haven't canceled it is beyond me. So
I think they officially moved it to the fall.
Oh, did they? Okay. Well, but so then that leaves Oregon Trail at the end of May, right? So I'm just saying, like, so if Olympus continues to postpone, what's that going to do with? I guess when I thought postpone, I was more thinking they were going to try to push it back or something like that, a couple weeks or something along that. But that makes more sense if they were potentially thinking about, like, maybe running it instead of Tour de Forest or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the plan, is that they could bump Tour de Forest or just replace it and bump Tour de Forest to like a later on in the winter regional again.
I don't think you'd want to go much later than what we did last year with Tour.
It just rains more. It's pretty consistent with just rain. Sometimes there's snow, but mostly just rain. Lots of rain. Lots of northwest rain. Last year was pretty fun because it was like all one day, and it was the seriously long rally.
Well, it wasn't like the how was it? Like the fog or something was unreal.
Oh yeah. It was nuts. Yeah, because the fog didn't come out until at night, and so you're like climbing up these hills, up these mountains, middle of the night in the rain, and then all of a sudden you can't see more than 10 feet in front of the car. That was fun.
Right.
And then you like hit a pocket where it was clean, and then you just be flying again, and then all of a sudden come around a corner and you can't see, and you got your rally lights just blinding, like just shining everything back at you. So
right. I've seen a couple videos where
it's so great.
I've seen a couple of videos where guys are bombing and like literally they're like first, second gear. It was so bad.
Yeah, I think at one point I was with Dave Clark in the BMW M3, and that was our first time co-driving and driving together.
Right.
And he was like trying to mess with the lights at one point and almost drove off the road at like 5-10 miles an hour because he was like trying to go between low beams, high beams, rally lights, not rally lights, and almost drove off the road at 5 miles an hour. You just couldn't see anything. It was nuts. But yeah, it was cool. And then the car broke on the last stage, and we sat out in the rain for 2.5-3 hours and didn't get the car loaded up till about midnight.
Yes.
In the rain. It was great.
There was, yes. And I was hanging out in service the entire time, and it still sucked.
Yeah. But it was a great event. I loved the event. It was an awesome section of roads, and whatever. So
that with less fog is basically what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. It was great. It was 4 stages, ran twice, and they all linked into each other, so the transits were really short. And yeah, it was great. And even at night, the first 4 stages were in the day, like twilight towards the end of it, but then the last 4 were all in the dark, which is pretty fun.
I think I've only done like one nighttime. It was like a Mount Hood years ago. It wasn't bad.
I've done a nighttime TSD up in Canada, and it wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be.
Which one did you?
TSD, Heart of Darkness, which we had a blast, but ultimately it would probably would have been more fun as a rally, but they had some. It was difficult.
Excellent.
I hate to change the topic. Actually, I would change the topic because
you're a liar.
I know. Yeah, I'm just gonna start out with a lie there. No, because it's we got all this time in the garage here over the last few days, and so I've gotten hot and heavy with putting the car back together. And I called the windshield shop. They found me a windshield, and I've got an appointment tomorrow morning to put the windshield back in. I had no plan on putting the dash back in.
Put the dash in.
Should I
put the dash in?
Put the dash in while I've still got the windshield out and everything?
Well, okay, so I'm assuming yours is probably like mine, and there's some. There's
a lot of bars in the way.
Well, right, but can you get to the hardware that's near the windshield? That's my problem with mine. Is like I've
I
got
don't have any hardware
like,
up by the windshield. It sits on a foam pad and it all mounts from the front and sides.
oh, see, like my windshield is super flat, right? And so right at the tip here is a bunch of 10mm bolts that hold the front of the dash on.
Don't have that problem.
Run a dash. I mean, I don't know. Like even if it's completely gutted, run a dash. It just looks better. I'm sorry, but when you got like an entire like wiring harness exposed, and it just doesn't look good.
I've got no gauges, no nothing. There's 3 idiot lights: temperature, oil, and oil temp.
As it should be.
Actually, and there's a shift light. 4.
There you go.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't know what more you
Not
need.
really a big dash.
No. My vote is run it, guys. Anyone else?
Right.
Anybody else has comments on dashes?
I took mine out. The only thing I'm using on my dash right now is the fuel gauge.
I don't even have that.
If I got fuel and it's running, we're good.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm personally a fan of stock dashes, but
Yeah.
just because fabricating or fabric cobbling up a dash takes way too much time.
Yeah. I mean, my first attempt at a horrible dash was a bunch of old license plates riveted together.
I'm so disappointed.
No, it was awesome. Hold
Were
on,
you
you
doing
guys
that?
chat. I'm gonna go find the picture. Hold on, you go.
Oh man.
You have a
Yeah,
picture?
no, it was awesome. But no, well, so I had this cool license plate from what was it? Simon Levere's, the guy that used to run the Mount Hood Rally. He had the license plate. What was it? Rally It? No, Rally Car. And so I put that in the middle of all the license plates. And all right, talk amongst yourself. I'm gonna find the photo.
What other projects you guys got going on since you've got free time, or do you have free time at the moment?
Yeah,
No.
I guess. I mean, I know Robert's staying from home. Al, are you able to stay at home or?
No, I'm a programmer at an aerospace machine shop, so we're kind of hot and heavy right now.
I
Gotcha.
bet.
Like the last 4 weeks, I've been working 6 days in a row, and it's like, well, I know it's a matter of time till we're going to be forced to close up the shop, but for now, we're trying to get everything done before that happens, and we're in the northern part of Michigan where it's not an epidemic yet. So
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yet.
Have you acquired a transmission for when you've got all this free up and coming free time? No.
no.
No plans.
No, I was all ready to rock and roll at 100 Acre Wood, and now I'm done till June 20th, which is Central UP Rally. So
That one looks
lots
fun.
of time to figure it out.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really cool because my teammate Adam Van Dam, it's his dad and his uncles and all that run it. The first year, I think it was actually pulled off with 27.
This is the rabbit that goes through 3 motors a rally, right?
he did have a bad run there, yeah. But then he last year at Snowdrift, he came in a little hot on a 5 and put it into the snowbank. It's kind of at Snowdrift, you're used to using the snowbank. So this one particularly had a 5-foot tree stump in it. So that was the end of the rabbit. So then he built the 87 GTI, but he put a turbo diesel in it.
Okay.
Which was really good, but then he couldn't hold a transmission in it. Every event, he'd open up the transmission and just be full of teeth. So now he's looking at taking the Rabbit motor and putting it into the Mark II GTI, and it's kind of a, you put horsepower in it and you wreck it, and if you don't put horsepower in it, then one year at Namaji, we always had really good battles, and I had the RX-7 and he had the Rabbit. And I realized he couldn't get any more speed out of the Rabbit because he had 4 stage times that were all within 3 seconds of each other. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he can't go any faster.
Yeah.
But that, Namaji is a in and out stage. I think it's 8.5 miles. So you race 8.5 miles in, 8.5 miles out, and you do that twice. So you run the same stage 4 times, and they were all identical. And it's like, So poor guy. When he goes faster, he breaks stuff, and that's what happens.
Yeah, with those stock O2O gearboxes, you can't put a whole lot of torque through them before they start dying. There's just not a lot you can do.
Okay, so I totally found my dash picture.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh, that's something, Matt.
That is something. I'll give you that.
That is a delight.
That was like, because I was in the same boat. I didn't know if I wanted to run a dash, and then I was like, well, I've got a bunch of license plates sitting around because cars. And I was like, I'll do some like friggin' craft work, and it was arts and crafts.
Yeah, you learned something. You
right?
Got a hand workout using a rivet gun.
Well, fortunately, I mean, they're all aluminum, so fortunately that it doesn't really take much. But
I got to work on my hand strength after like 20 rivets. I'm pretty much done. Got to do some hand exercises now.
Oh no, Cody.
So were you guys saying that you don't have many night stages out there? Or?
Generally not.
I think Matt's a liar, but
what? Because
they used to be common, Robert, but they're not anymore.
Yeah, they are.
They're really
Canada.
Well,
or Tour de Forest.
Tour de Forest run the night days?
Half of the rally this last year was all in the dark.
So we got Tour de Forest. I'm saying, like, so Mount Hood used to be the only one that would really reliably run into the dark.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
I'm going to drop off for a minute. I think I got a kid in trouble, so I'll be back.
Yeah, do it. But
I don't get that problem.
Oregon Trail the first night we'll run into the dark, but that's at PIR, so that doesn't really count.
It still kills like 20 cars every time they run it. I don't know. It's 20 is an exaggeration by a long shot, but somebody somebody flipped upside down into one of the creeks there going through a field.
Oh, there is the old block rock too. I mean,
yeah, everyone hits the rocks.
Everybody hits the rock. But no, I mean, I guess, I don't think we get really the entries that you guys do out east. And so the timing of a lot of things, just we'll get done when it may be hitting dusk. Now, mind you, I have not rallied in a really long time. We'll say reliably rallied in a really long time. So things have probably changed a little bit.
Well, I mean, using OTR for a reference, Oregon Trail Rally, I think this last year there were 70 entries. So that's quite a bit for a national event. Pretty solid. And then they run, just the Friday night. Usually the last running of the stages is all at night.
Right.
And then there's 72. Thanks, Doug. Then there's PFR, Pacific Forest Rally.
Can I just pause for a second? Thank you, Doug, for being my fact checker. That guy, seriously, Doug, thank you. Because you come in and you prove to me how little I know about this shit.
Something
that in a bad way.
Pedantic engineers, something.
Right, something engineers. God bless them. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, then there's Pacific Forest Rally, which runs, like Cody said, PFR. I think it's Friday night. Yeah, Friday night is always in the dark, and then sometimes even Saturday, depending upon the scheduling, you'll run it night stages on Saturday as well. And PFR is gnarly because you do a full day of recce on Thursday, and then you do a part day recce on Friday, and then you go racing that evening, and you race until 10 p.m.
Wow.
And then you start at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and then you race until, if there's a delay, 11 o'clock
that's
p.m. Awesome. And then Big White always pretty much runs night stages because I think they try to slam it all into one day,
right, as
well. And so you race from 10 to 11 as well on Saturday.
That's awesome. So if we're talking Volvos, clearly we can't not talk about everybody's favorite Volvo. Mr. Cody Crane, who did
Oh.
make a post on my Facebook thing saying selling the Volvo and building a Falcon will save him. No, Cody, I'm sorry.
No.
You get to own the car forever. We'll just figure out what's wrong with it.
Yeah, there's what's wrong with it is a mid '90s aftermarket ECU that uses screw terminals for bare wires going into it.
Oh, jeez.
It's pretty gnarly.
Which ECU is it? An old Haltech?
No, it's like an electromotive TEC2.
Actually, the Haltech wouldn't even have been.
Well, now,
It's pretty bad, but I
don't
think
worry here.
yeah.
Shortly,
1994
Dave Clark's gonna-
electromotive.
There you go. Dave Clark's going to jump in and said it ran fine up until Cody getting it.
So I've been helping Cody out a little bit, trying to help him troubleshoot it. And so I downloaded the manuals for the software and the fueling table. You have to run DOS to basically tune the ECU. It's pretty nuts. But the fueling table and the timing table is it's like a 6x10 table. So you've got like very few entries. So AJ, who has done tuning, is like cracking up at this, that it only has that few of entries for timing table and fueling table. But the crazy thing is, this thing probably makes 600 wheel horsepower.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
It is. I got the chance to drive it before Cody bought it, and it is like hilarious. Like from like 40 to probably 100 miles an hour is the fastest car I've ever been in.
But
Wow.
And that's 2 years. That's second
my
and
favorite
third.
story about that car was didn't it get taken out to a drag strip one night for whatever reason, turn a 12-second quarter mile and never actually hooked up the back end?
Yeah, something like that.
It ran a 12-second or like a 12-something or 13-second quarter mile time on rally tires.
Quick, yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty nuts. But yeah, they're having some issues with it cutting out and losing spark, and I'm pretty sure it's the super ancient VR sensor hanging off the front of the motor and the super sketchy wiring, which was pretty.
But it ran before when Cody got it.
Yeah, it ran, yeah. But I think Cody's pretty much just in love with the G-Force or the Jericho sequential, or not sequential, but the dog box.
Well, I mean, everybody's in love with the dog box. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Somebody let Danny out.
No, that's probably Alex. Well, I don't know. No, Danny was working, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. He wasn't sure how late he was going to be working. So,
man, those guys are doing good work, saving people. Like Alex is like, he sent a picture of him in full scrubs, and he's like working in the ICU, I think, right now. So
yeah.
Yeah, he's a pharmacist, pretty good for a night. He's just toss him into the ICU. He'll be fine.
It's like, hey, wherever we want to drop him. Okay, so I've offered, and I mean, for whatever that's worth, Robert's offered many a times to go help Cody with the sorting of said car.
Yeah, we're making some headway on it, or he's making some headway. Yeah, so we're doing a few things there, but I mean, Cody works. I think Cody's working nights still, so makes it difficult to meet up to work on cars.
Right.
Especially now when we're kind of all stay home, save lives type of a deal. Yeah,
now that we're homebound. So
yeah.
Well, God, I don't know. Like, it's one of those, like, that poor dude has he hasn't finished an event with it.
No.
And he needs to not let it defeat him.
This is true.
It's one of those, like,
dude, just step up as a sponsor. Come on, throw down the dollar bills. Let's get some proper hardware on that car.
I have a micro squirt. That is about all I could potentially offer him.
Which I think would actually run that car and would double the fuel resolution and the ignition resolution on the tables.
As long as he didn't want anything fancy, it would run it. I can't.
It would get him away from a distributor too, wouldn't it?
It's not a distributor.
Isn't it really?
No,
it's a 2-post coil. It's got 3 2-post coils on it. Wasted spark.
Yeah,
it's a very you would love. I'll send you the document.
I want to go see that car.
It's so bizarre. So like the ECU, you can't actually set your base timing on it. You have to like shift the timing sensor.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you have to it's very specific about like where you set it for timing. And so, yeah. And there's only one company that really sells the VR sensor for that. And it's like $110 for this super crappy VR sensor. It's got a bunch of limitations to it. So we're trying to work around that.
Well, let's cross all the fingers.
It's about 25 degrees in the garage.
Are you freezing, Al?
Oh, I'm sorry, Al. I mean, I was
like 70
complaining it
degrees
was
in
like
my house.
No,
I was complaining it was like 50
Sam was-
something in my garage. So
I came inside because it was mid-30s in my garage, and I was like, I don't want to sit for an hour in that.
no, I just do this so I can get some quiet. Because
Al, where's your waste oil heater in the background running?
seriously,
no heat. I'll
No
show
insulation
you
either.
my
I
garage
can see
is,
those walls.
I think my garage
Savage.
is like 16 by
Give us a
24.
tour. I want to see I want to see the car. Give us a tour.
oh yeah, do Al, do a walk around. We'll
That's
see if I can
actually my
figure out how to. Wait, there we go. Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of like speed holes in the hood.
Yeah, I dig speed holes.
Were the speed holes from the turbo days?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's speed holes in the front end.
Yeah.
She's a proper race car with all those speed holes.
Yeah.
She's a pretty lady.
Got the
All right. So
expired stickers.
Expired stickers. All right. So final thoughts on Volvos, gentlemen. I know Robert, you're a.
I'll go last.
Oh, all right. I mean,
I stopped listening. What were we talking about as far as on for so long?
no, I don't know. I mean, Robert's not wrong with the Volvos. Let's be real. Al has done different Al has done things with them. We'll say,
yeah,
and he continues to wrap them around trees. And
somehow he does that. I think Al's biggest issue is he preps about 2 days before every event, and so usually
fills the tanks with hopes, and then the tires with dreams.
Oh yeah, AJ's been there with me on that one before.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah,
Sam's right too. The disintegrating wire harness is pretty neat on those.
Oh,
it is
actually. Oh, so guess who else has decided to do that? Subaru.
Oh, really?
They have now gone to a biodegradable wiring harness made out of soy because it's more it's environmentally friendly. And guess what? Animals are eating it.
Because it's tasty. Freaking
because it's
Volkswagen
delicious.
learned this. Ford learned this in the 80s and early 90s. Subaru, come on.
I know. I mean, I'm not like huge on Subaru nowadays, but yeah, I mean, I get Volvo was trying to be, forerunner, and I mean, weren't they the one that invented the 3-point seatbelt and
They
gave
did,
away? Yeah,
and
I mean,
the crosslink braking system that you all hate.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, right, the one that I got wrong.
Yeah, you got that one wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And like the 6 bleed valve bleeding brakes that
Dude, once you understand it, it is super fast and really efficient. And it's got some cool you can also remove that if you want to. It's pretty easy to do, but it's got some cool benefits to it. Like let's say you break a brake line somewhere.
I do want one of those calipers because they make my little itty bitty calipers look kind of.
Oh, just buy like a 1990 to 93 ABS caliper, and it's only got one hose inlet, and it's like a standard 4-piston.
Volvo should make a
refit those to the Audi. Hey, so Al, do you run Bluetooth in your intercoms?
I have.
Okay, Matt does.
Normally I run Peltor, but I ran with 2 different Bluetooth systems just with substitute co-drivers. One system was really good, but the other one actually was pretty poor at noise canceling. Like when we were dealing with controls, I could actually hear the control worker crystal clear from the driver's seat. It's like, it's a little bit too much. I actually knocked out one of the ears just so I could only hear it in one ear on purpose because it was too loud.
Huh.
But yeah, they work great, and I couldn't see a single complaint from them, especially with outside of the car communications. The first time I seen it was actually Robert Lefevre. He runs that white Mustang, the Fox body.
Mm-hmm.
We were at LSPR one year, and there was a backup at a control. And all of a sudden, we're just standing outside the control, probably a quarter mile back. And he's like, well, this stage is scrubbed. I'm like, what? He's like, oh, I'm talking to my co-driver. Co-driver's like a quarter mile up the road. Wow. So that was, super awesome. And I can imagine in a emergency procedure where you're using triangles or getting pulled out, it would be, one less thing to get hung up on when you're getting in and out of the car. But I still use my Peltor because I have it.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. I always choked myself every time I got out of the car with my old system. But yeah, I mean, like side of the road tire changes with your helmet still on, you can still talk to the co-driver. I had the co-driver run up to the time control, and we could still talk to him. And like he would have a question for me, and I was able to send it back to him, right then and there. There are good systems, there are bad systems, but my system I spent less than $200 on, and I had 4 units total, including headsets. I mean, I'm sold until, I don't know, like I can't replace a head unit or a headset in some of these really expensive ones for $200.
Yeah, is Peltor even making the old school like FM1 or FMT 120, the super simple one?
You can still get them. I don't know if they're making them.
Yeah.
If you do a search for them, you can find them.
And I've actually had mine. Mine is still 9-volt. It's not wired in.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had it fail on me 3 times at a stage start, which is pretty miserable.
We
actually took a 30-second
new batteries
Southern Ohio because
come on.
Right. New
batteries.
Well, we put them in every day.
What?
Oh, seriously?
We tried to let one go through. Yeah.
Something's up, man.
Have one go through Saturday, and
I mean, the one where the Bluetooth one we're using, like we would get an entire day out of a charge and not kill it, and then we just charged it overnight.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the old Peltor that's in the blue Volvo, Derek's car, we run probably the same battery for 2 or 3 events, and we always have at least 2 batteries, one in the car, one in my co-driving bag, that if the light turns red, we'll just change it out. But yeah, I don't know, Al, I'm not sure why you're getting 1 day out of a 9-volt.
Well, one of them was because we were using an adapter. The adapter between the helmet was drawing a little bit more.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up because nobody wants to look at our ugly mugs any longer, except Cody. Cody, thank you for always being here.
Till the end.
Next week.
Don't you have a Honda transmission to build or something, Cody?
Cody, what are you drinking now?
Yeah, seriously, Cody, what are we drinking? I'm pro Volvo. I always will be. God bless, one of these days, maybe I'll actually be able to run one.
You should come out and drive my drift car.
I don't need to drive one. I think they're cool.
But there's so much more fun with like 400 horsepower.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that would be a blast.
That car
I can't imagine.
What?
Yeah, AJ was in there when it like broke a heater hose in traffic.
I absolutely love that car. It is absolutely stupid. You cannot pull into traffic without removing half of the rear tires.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It doesn't move forward without lighting them up.
Yeah. Just a nice, healthy.
Is that?
It's a 5-liter pushrod 5-liter.
Out of a Mustang of some
out of a Mustang Fox body, but it's got a really big camshaft and some smaller chamber aluminum heads. So it's better compression and it's fun. It's the weirdest thing about this is the 5-liter with an aluminum head setup is like 70-ish pounds heavier than a non-turbo Volvo 4-cylinder. Mm-hmm. So your weight penalty in doing that, and the motor's actually shorter, so you can actually get it set further back, so you end up with a bit better weight distribution, and you get a slight weight penalty.
A lot more horsepower.
Oh, yeah. But then if you like run a turbo Volvo motor, like you got the turbo manifold, the turbo, the intercooler, all that stuff adds in there. So like I've messed around a lot with turbo Volvos and wanted to build a drift car. And so I immediately was like, well, I just want to run a V8 because you can make 300 horsepower, 250 horsepower, 300 horsepower very mildly with the V8. and not have the issues of having an intercooler in front of your radiator and overheating. So now the car, I mean, Matt's been doing drift day with me. Thing runs for 4 hours straight. We just put fuel and tires into it, and it just sits at 6,000, 6,500 RPM all day on the rev limiter.
With 3 people in it all the time.
4. We've ran 5 in that car. So it's got a full bench seat in the back.
I shoved my son and his buddy in there. I didn't tell him. We showed up to the drift event to watch Robert, and I walk up to both of them and I throw helmets in their laps. I was like, all right, go get in the car. And wait, what? What are we doing? It was awesome.
Yeah, Matt's like, try to scare them.
Have for it?
Yeah. The what?
What's the transmission and rear end?
So it's just a standard T5 out of a Fox body. And then for the rear end, it's actually the stock Volvo diff. So it's a Dana 30, like a D30 diff with a welded center and 373 gears. The way you don't break axles on those is you just make sure it never hooks up. So you just keep you enter on the handbrake, and we run like a 225 wide rear tire, and you just never let it grip because it'll break axles. But as long as it's spinning, it's fine. But I mean, we did
not even a world class.
No, it's a world class T5. It's just we bought a 1990 Fox body that somebody was turning into a drift car. That they had it was a notchback actually, and it had a bunch of body damage to it. And so we bought the car for like $1,200, sold a bunch of the parts off it for more than $1,200, and then swapped the entire drivetrain minus the diff in 2 weekends between me and another buddy who are pretty mechanically inclined. And so we had a 220, 250 horsepower burnout machine in 2 weekends with a welded diff. And then from there, we just made it faster and faster, made it a better handling car. So
nice.
It's stupid simple to build a car. I've learned a lot over the years of playing with Volvos of what makes them handle well and what makes them fast. And so once you kind of figure out the easy things, you can make a pretty fast car. And you can even make an NA one, like a standard 4-cylinder, decently fast if you want to.
Where's the fun in that?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, the V8s are way more fun. They sound awesome.
They do.
They're great.
Indeed. All right. Well,
Matt, you're right. Let's quit.
Oh my God! It's been an hour. Somebody stared at my face for an hour. Those poor people. All right. Well, AJ, as always, thank you for coming, Mr. Volvos. Always a pleasure, sir. We'll see you around. Maybe once we're released from our houses. And Al, thank you very much for last minute coming and hanging out with us. Sorry you're freezing your ass off out in the garage.
I hope I get to see that car in person. That thing looks exciting.
Yes, I know. One of these days, I'll have to travel out east and go look at rallies because I've never been to anything. Outside of the Northwest. So, but that is all.
Everybody would love LSPR.
Oh, I would love any of it. Let's be real. So, all righty, gentlemen. Thank you very much for hanging, and we'll catch you guys all later.
Seriously, if somebody in the comments section wants to take me out to an East Coast or Midwest rally, I'm down.
There you go.
Let's go.
Robert is a cheap day. Oh, there you go. Co-drive for Al. There you go.
Al, can you fit a 6'6" human being in your car?
We had Robert Castle for Ojibwe. He's good 6'3", 250.
I'm only 6'6", 235 now. 235.
You're married. You've picked up a few, haven't you?
Dude, yeah.
All right. We're done.
All right.
All right.
Adios, everybody.
See you guys.